How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Jason, and in today's video, we're going to be previewing Week 8 of the 2023 CFL season, including this year's Touchdown Atlantic game. You won't want to miss it. So kicking us off Friday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, we have the 2-4 Hamilton Tiger Cats visiting the 3-3 Ottawa Red Blacks, who are coming off back-to-back overtime wins. Actually, the first team in CFL history to have back-to-back overtime wins. And in this one, the players that I'm watching for Hamilton, quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell. Now, as of the recording of this video, I don't know for sure that he is going to be starting for the team this week, but he has been practicing, and if he is back in the lineup, he's going to be a player that has a lot of intrigue around him, obviously, with how he played the first couple of weeks of the season, how poorly he played, that is, and so if he's back in the lineup, all eyes will be on him. But if he isn't in the lineup, I'm going to go with Tunde Adeleke, defensive back, who really struggled in his return to the lineup last week, so I think that I'm looking for a big bounce-back game from him in the secondary. And then for Ottawa, I'm going with another defensive back, Alonzo Adai, who's really emerged as one of the top Canadian defensive backs and top defensive backs in all of the CFL. I actually asked the guy who is in charge of player grades for PFF, who is the highest graded safety so far this season, and he said it's Alonzo Adai for the Ottawa Red Blacks. So I'm really looking forward to watching him and continuing to watch his development. Now, in terms of who's going to win this game, I think it's very interesting. Ottawa obviously riding high off of those back-to-back victories. Hamilton, kind of down in the dumps right now after the loss against Toronto. 2 losses against Toronto so far this season. So, I mean, Hamilton beat Ottawa the last time these two teams played in Hamilton, but Dustin Crum had to come in midway through the game last time, so I think it's going to be very interesting to see how it works out in this one. I think it's going to be a pretty close game with Ottawa pulling away in the fourth quarter. 27-19 is the final score I'm going with for this one, with the Red Blacks taking it. Now moving on to Saturday's doubleheader, starting at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have the Touchdown Atlantic game that will be taking place in Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the campus of St. Mary's University. So very much looking forward to this and how it looks like for this game. For the second year in a row, we have the Saskatchewan Roughriders playing against the Toronto Argonauts. Saskatchewan 3-3 coming off a couple of back-to-back losses. Toronto is, of course, 5-0 to start the season, has had a couple of byes. That's why they haven't played as many games, but 5-0 to start the season. Impressive stuff from the Argos. The players that I'm watching in this game, for Saskatchewan, kick returner Mario Alford, who's been the best special teams player in the CFL over the last season and a half here. He's really been a dynamic weapon for that team on special teams. So I'm looking forward to seeing if he can, return a touchdown in this one and really give his team a spark. He's often done that this season. And then for Toronto, I'm going with wide receiver Curly Gittens Jr., who got on the board with a touchdown last week. He's been kind of quiet so far this year, so I'm looking forward to seeing if he can really rev up his season in the coming weeks here. So I'm excited to see Curly Gittens play this week. Now, in terms of who's going to win this game, everybody's going to be picking Toronto, but I think it's going to be a very close game. I think that Saskatchewan's defense actually will give them a good game here, but ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm going to go with Toronto to win, just like everybody else is picking, 23-17. I think Toronto's like a 10.5 point favorite for this one, so Saskatchewan would cover the spread if my prediction comes true, but at the end of the day, I think Toronto, riding high with Chad Kelly, will take it. And then moving on to the second game of Saturday's doubleheader at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the 5-1 BC Lions visiting the 0-7 Edmonton Elks, and obviously Edmonton, another chance to break that home losing streak. I'm tired of saying it, but another chance here to do it. The wrinkle with this game is that Dane Evans is going to be the starting quarterback for the BC Lions in this one. Now, it does look good for Vernon Adams that he was able to avoid a major injury last week when he went down against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, but Dane Evans will be making his first start of the season this week for the BC Lions, and I'm excited to see him play. He is my player to watch for them. I think that one thing to watch with him is, do the turnovers come and resurface like we saw last year with him with Hamilton? I think that was the biggest problem with him, and so I think, it's weird saying this given that Vernon Adams had a 6-interception game a few weeks ago, but I think that Dane is more prone to interceptions and turnovers than Vernon Adams is, so I'm excited to see if, he can keep that under control in this one. If he can do that, I think BC has a very, very good chance of victory. And then for Edmonton, I'm going with wide receiver Dylan Mitchell, who's shown some signs of life over the past couple of weeks, had over 100 yards last week against the Bombers. So I think that if he can get going, continue to play well, I think that would be a very good thing for that Edmonton offense and give Taylor Cornelius, who is still starting for the Edmonton Elks, a fighting chance. And I'm excited to see how this one plays out. I think that with the backup quarterback playing for BC, I think it's going to be more interesting than it would be if Adams was starting. So I think that at the end of the day, it may be a closer game that people are expecting. But ultimately, I just don't see Edmonton's offense moving the ball in any efficient way against that BC defense. I think BC has the best defense in the CFL right now. So I'm going to take the BC Lions to win 21-10 at the Edmonton Elks and continue that home losing streak for them, unfortunately. And then moving on to a very interesting finale this week. Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we have the 2-4 Calgary Stampeders visiting the 2-3 Montreal Alouettes. The Alouettes coming off their bye in this case. And the players I'm watching in this one, defensive back Trey Roberson for the Calgary Stampeders, been very quiet since his return from the NFL over the past couple of years. So I'm looking for somebody to step up in that defensive back room, make a big play. He was such a ball hawk back in 2019. He was the best defensive back, in my opinion, back in 2019 before he left for the NFL. But we just haven't seen that level of player since he's been back. So I'm looking for Trey Roberson or somebody in that secondary to step up and make a play late in the game for the Stampeders. And then for Montreal, I'm going with running back William Stanback, who's also been quiet, another veteran who's, he just hasn't looked the same since that 2021 season. Obviously had the big injury last year, and when he came back down the stretch, just didn't look like the same player. Hasn't really looked like the same player again this year, so I think at the end of the day, he needs to play better for that Montreal Alouettes offense to have more efficiency, have more balance for Cody Fajardo, and hopefully take some of that pressure off of him. So I think at the end of the day, these two players have to play better for their teams to, improve going forward. It's going to be very interesting to see who wins this game. I think that Calgary, it's kind of reaching desperation time for them, because if they fall to 2-5, I think they were 2-5 a couple years ago in the shortened season, but I think this is a different feel this year. I think that if they fall 3 games below 500, it's going to be very difficult to dig themselves out of that. And I think for Montreal, if they lose, they'll be a full game behind the Ottawa Redblacks, depending on what happens with their game. They could be even 2 games behind them. So I think this is a very crucial game for them coming off their bye week. And ultimately, because Montreal's going off their bye week or coming off their bye week, and Calgary just cannot close games lately, I'm going to take the Alouettes to win 31-27. I don't think I've picked the Alouettes yet this year in a game, so I think it's about time that I take them to win. And again, I just don't trust Calgary at this point, so I'm going to take the Alouettes to win this one. But with that said, that is your preview for Week 8 of the 2023 CFL season. Be sure to let me know your picks down below. And with that said, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.